if you are a parent, you need to know this. Right now, professionals and student health experts and educational professionals and whatnot around the country are determining that your child does not need that best friend that he or she may have had or may develop over the years as they grow up. Because quite frankly, best friends tend to encourage students to isolate themselves away from the rest of the world. And, and it makes a lot of sense because if you have a friend work develop, and it's a very close, small, intimate friend work, that encourages confidence in a child. And confidence taken to an extreme encourages cockiness, downright brashness. And you become a demon on the playground. You become the type of child that grows up to shoot people on sight and grows up to run political campaigns for higher office, quite frankly, and blame your staff for everything. You become the kind of person that just can't relate. And this, I think, is one reason among many why we should isolate our children, stick them in a corner, and when they're 22 years old, they can come out and see the light of day. Rich, I don't know how you could possibly see the logic outside of this.
I am really ticked on this one, Joel.
Are you? Are you?
It amazes me with all the social issues that kids can be going through to have school psychologists who deem it their job to determine who Johnny and Susie get to sit next to in the class and who they get to befriend on the playground. This is appalling. This is a gross extension of, schools trying to basically over-socialize our kids.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God. God forbid they actually develop an identity.
Yeah.
And we're trying to regulate everything about children these days. Everything that happens to, what was it? Health experts back in about 5-6 years ago were deciding that Cookie Monster on Sesame Street was bad for students. Therefore, we had Veggie Monster. We were going to do away with Cookie Monster because it contributes to early onset diabetes. To sit there and watch this thing stuff cookies in its face till the end of time. I actually snoped that, and it was false, but it still worked for the argument. So I want to bring it up. And this kind of thing does happen. We over-regulate our children, and this is an egregious example because what do kids do? If you're trying to save them, Whitney, from themselves and save them from getting, overconfident or sequestering themselves off with one friend. And save them from the detriment. How is that going to help them later in life? You're setting them up for failure.
You're just teaching them that they don't need to have tough skin, that if they get rejected by one group of friends, that someone should take those two friends and separate them and let you go in the middle. Whereas I would think, I don't have any children yet, but at some point I want my child, if my child was the one being rejected, I just want them to say, you know what, well, I can find better friends than you guys.
Yeah.
And go to someone else. You have thicker skin than that. Compete.
Yeah. Well, oh my God! Don't let them compete. You've got teachers like this teacher, this moonbat out of St. Louis, Mary Institute in St. Louis Country Day School in St. Louis, who was saying, Mary was her name, saying that it's not just the students sequestering themselves off one-on-one and developing long-term friendships. It's that when they do this, they do vicious attacks using texting and things like that. They develop the kind of confidence that allows them to step out on a limb and completely insult the other students. And God knows they would never grow up to do that. The Sex and the City girls would never do something like that, Brooke. How did they get that way?
Well, as the mother of a almost 12-year-old, I can tell you that we've had these conversations about best friends. My daughter seems to have a best friend that she feels comfortable with. And, of course, girls are mean at a certain age, and they say things. And so you tend to go through it. Now, I can see two sides of the issue with that. Now, I believe you should have best friends. I think it's a great thing. However, getting out there and being social and maybe, like I said, seeing what the opportunities are to have other friends are fine for me, too. So I have encouraged my 11-year-old, almost 12-year-old to do that and to not take it too seriously if one friend doesn't befriend her or defriends her, is to say now, and to get out there and, like I said, see what her options are.
Yeah, well, thinking about what we did growing up as children, God knows. You've got examples ad infinitum. You did develop, especially I think with guys, with boys, you did develop a confidence by having those close friendships, those close networks. I remember we had rock slingshots. We took mom's,
we used to have BB gun wars.
Yeah, wrapped it around two trees and shot rocks across
from the neck
at the neighbors.
From the neck to the stomach. You know?
Yeah. And you learn how to hit your target that way.
Exactly.
It makes you better in a capitalistic environment later on in life. Whitney?
And to follow up what Brooke was saying, girls are mean as children, and girls are always mean. So there's not always going to be a teacher there to protect you. When you become an adult and you graduate from high school and you go out into the world to get a job, either you're going to know how to deal with the mean girls or you're not.
Yeah.
And I think even somewhere in there it talks about this is a normal social pain. It's better for children to learn it when they're in elementary school and they have parents that can talk to them about it than to go out into the world and say, well, where's the teacher that's going to regulate this?
And help them process this. Yeah. I mean, you've got this, the column that, or the comment that Christine Lacob said. She's a director of counseling. She said that we try to talk to kids and work with them to get them to have big groups of friends and not be so possessive about their friends. Greedy little children. Parents sometimes say Johnny needs that one special friend. We say he doesn't need a best friend because that attitude is a blunt manifestation of a mindset that has led adults to become ever more involved in children's social lives in recent years. And she says that is a very good thing. It needs to happen more like that.
It's terrible. I mean, I've got two girls, and my oldest daughter, she's had friends in 2 different states where they were, minimum 3 to 4 hours apart, and they are truly her best friends. And for the simple fact that they have something in common, the parents have something in common, so we build lifelong relationships. We need to let kids develop lifelong relationships on their own terms and not those dictated by adults, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to make the decisions regarding the kind of people they want to be. We can only point them in the right direction. We can't make those decisions for them.
And there's only so much that, they really do. You need to have the human concept to develop that kind of thing. Because Timmy and Lassie, this kid sequestered off with the dog all his life. He's constantly falling in a hole. That kind of thing can happen to your children. They become accident prone if they don't have other human engagement at a level like that. But honestly, why should this concern? It seems like on the surface it goes right in line with that rugged individualism, the rugged individualistic, national theme that we've got. You got that side of the argument, but the side that I like to cling to is that honestly, how do you develop intimacy? How do you ever learn how, and I don't mean that way, Rich, how do you ever learn how to, Rich is going off the deep end here, but we're engineering out intimacy. Are we not?
It's terrible. It's terrible. Like she said, the normal social pains, that includes normal pains in intimate relationships. When you're close to someone and things don't work out, better to learn how to deal with that in the regular course of child development than for the first time ever when you're 21 years old.
Yeah, so that's it. Universally, we really don't like you. We're coming after you if you're a professional child psychologist. We want to know why you feel the insatiable urge to psychoanalyze and micromanage our children's lives. Is this some kind of innate, latent guilt you're feeling, or you like to control, or something like that? We'll see you tomorrow.